Hello, it's day 30, and I want to talk about willpower. Day 30! Give it up for day 30, everybody! I actually didn't blow it as bad this weekend as I thought I was going to, but today is Monday, and there are some new developments at the job from hell. Do you want to know what happened over the weekend? I bet you can guess. That's right, they restocked the candy shelf. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised because, of course, they restock the candy shelf. They do it every couple weeks or so. But they put some good stuff in there. They put some Snickers and Twix and Three Musketeers, a lot of chocolate. And do you know what I like? Chocolate. And that's why I wanted to talk about willpower today. Because willpower, when it comes to dieting, is often treated like the magic key, the key that unlocks the door to your perfect skinny self. As long as you can have perfect willpower, you will be a perfect person. And anytime I think about willpower, it makes me think of video games, especially those old Final Fantasy games, like the old ones, or like tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, willpower is often associated with magic when it comes to games, and I can kind of see why. Like in some games, willpower is like just a statistic that your character has, and it's used passively to determine things like how well they can resist magical attacks. And when it comes to a metaphor for dieting, I really can't think of a better one. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like being attacked every day by the cravings and the urges that just never seem to quite fade away. Like, there are also certain games where the system is that willpower is a pool that you pull from to cast your own magic spells, or like shields or wards of some sort. And as you create more magic, your willpower just steadily decreases. I think that's a pretty good metaphor too, because as the day goes on, it gets harder and harder to resist as your pool of willpower depletes. Willpower also makes me think about dogs, weirdly enough. Like, think if you're training a new little puppy to be a good dog. You treat the puppy with respect. You try to be consistent with it. You try to teach it what is good and what is bad by your response to it. And when I was a little girl, a puppy, so to speak, I was taught some very unpleasant things about food. I never felt safe eating, so I always got bad feedback. Like, I got judged for how fast I ate, how slow I ate, how much I ate, what I ate, when I ate. So there was never a right answer. But as a little girl, I always thought to myself, if I could just find the right combination of time, speed, proportion, thing, if I could just find the right combination to please my critics, then eating will become easy for me. And naturally, it never did. So, what I settled into doing was eating way too fast and way too much. But oddly enough, I'm not having trouble with my willpower today. Like, the candy shelf is there, it's fully stocked with really great things, but I'm not really feeling any, pull toward it. I have walked toward it today on autopilot, and it was strange to catch myself doing that because walking toward it, I never got very close to it before I realized what I was doing. But I walked toward it on autopilot maybe 5 or 6 times already today. Like, not to trivialize the incredibly difficult journeys of people who have very serious addictions, but I do feel like a person who is addicted to a substance who has to face down that substance every day. And it is incredibly hard. But today I decided I wasn't going to eat from the candy shelf. And once I made that decision, I feel like it got a little bit easier. When I walked in here today and I saw that the shelf had been restocked, it felt like a shot of adrenaline. I felt scared seeing it there. The worst part about trying to be a healthy person is realizing that days with challenges like this are going to come up regularly. None of us live in a perfectly regimented world. Things come up. And part of becoming a healthier person is learning to make healthy choices even when it's incredibly difficult. And days like this really make me wish that I had somebody I could talk to face about this. But, you know, that's part of the reason I'm making these videos. If there is nobody in your life you can talk to, I hope that you find at least a little bit of comfort in what I'm doing here. If you're following along one day at a time, like I originally intended, maybe you're starting to see some progress. I mean, it is day 30 after all. For me, I think it comes down to momentum and inertia. Like, I built some pretty good momentum this weekend. I wasn't perfect, but I also didn't blow it as badly as I usually do. And so, coming in today and seeing a challenge set before me, it feels like I have a little bit of speed built up where I can just blast through this, no big deal. Like, I made the decision not to eat from the candy shelf today, and so far I'm holding steady to that. And it hasn't even really been all that hard. It's almost like once the decision was made, the challenge evaporated. I can't say that that's true all the time, but sometimes I do think that the main challenge when it comes to a craving isn't so much the craving itself, it's the back and forth, should I or shouldn't I? And once you make a decision, no, I won't, I shouldn't, it becomes a little bit easier to move on with your day.